So we have to find the numbers which are missing here in the yellow boxes. Let's approach this problem mathematically. We are going to do that by naming all the unknowns that we are looking for. So let's call these numbers A, B, C, and D. Therefore, we have to find A, B, C, D such that all of these equations are correct. Let's write down the equations. The first one is A multiplied by B is equal to 15. The second one is A plus C is equal to 3. The third one is C minus D is equal to 5. And the last one is B plus D is equal to 12. As you can see, we have a system of 4 equations with 4 unknowns. So let's solve this system of equations. In the first equation, we have only the variables A and B. In the second one, A and C. So A is a part of the first equation and the second equation, and it does not appear in the third or the fourth equation. Then in the third equation, we have C and D. And what we can observe is that the C is only a part of the second and third equation. Finally, D is only a part of the third and the fourth equation. It looks like we can simply solve this system of equations by inserting some equations into other equations. So let's finally start with that plan. With the first equation, we can solve this equation for A and then insert the value for A into the second equation. So in the first equation, by solving it for A, it means that we have to get rid of this B. And that is going to be done by dividing both sides of the equation by B. Important note here is that when dividing by a variable, you have to make sure that the variable is not equal to 0, because division by 0 is not allowed. So what we have here? We have the equation A multiplied by B is equal to 15, and we are dividing that by B. We have to make sure that B is not 0. So we have A multiplied by B divided by B is equal to 15 divided by B. The B and B are going to cancel out because B is different than 0, and then we have that A is equal to 15 over B. The question which we also have to answer is, could B be equal to 0? In the first equation, we have that A multiplied by B is equal to 15. If B is equal to 0, then we have A multiplied by 0 is equal to 15, and that means that 0 is equal to 15, which is impossible. This means that B has to be different than 0. That means that we can divide by B in this previous step. So we have this value for A, and we are going to insert this information into a second equation. When we do this, the second equation becomes 15 over B plus C is equal to 3. What we now have to do is solve this equation for C, because then we can insert the value which we got for C into the third equation, and after that we can continue with this process which we have started. Now, when solving this equation 15 over B plus C is equal to 3, we have to eliminate this part 15 over B. And we can do that by subtracting the value of 15 over B from the both sides of this equation. That is how we get that 15 over B plus C minus 15 over B is equal to 3 minus 15 over B. And these 15 over B's are going to cancel out. So we have that C is equal to 3 minus 15 over B. So we have solved this equation for C, And now we are going to insert this information into the next equation from our system. But before I do this, I want to exclaim that by doing all of this, the original system of equations which we are working with is getting transformed one equation at a time. So the first equation of our original system got transformed. From the equation a multiplied by b is equal to 15, we got to equation a is equal to 15 over b. The second equation of our system got transformed, and it is now c is equal to 3 minus 15 over b. So now in this new system, the first equation is solved for a, and the second equation is solved for c. Now we can use this information which we have obtained in the third equation for c. So we have that the third equation, which is c minus d, is equal to 5. Instead of c, we are going to use that c is equal to 3 minus 15 over b. So we get that 3 minus 15 over b minus d is equal to 5. And this equation we are going to solve for d, because then we can insert this information into our fourth equation. Since we are solving this equation for d, as we have negative d, we can take that negative d from the left side of the equation and put it on the right side of the equation where it becomes positive d. So we get that 3 minus 15 over b is equal to 5 plus d. Let's solve this for d now, and we get that d is equal to 3 minus 15 over b minus 5. And that means that d is equal to negative 2 minus 15 over b. Now that we have solved this equation for d, we are going to insert this equation into the last equation of our system. So the fourth equation, b plus d is equal to 12, is going to be transformed. It is now b plus, and d is minus 2 minus 15 over b is equal to 12. That means that b minus 15 over b is equal to 14. Now in this last equation which we have only one variable, and that is b. That means that we have to solve this equation for b. In this equation, as you can see, there exists a term which has b in the denominator. First, we have to transform this equation so that b no longer sits in the denominator. We can do that by multiplying the entire equation by b, and then we get that b multiplied by the left side of the equation, b minus 15 over b, is equal to 14 multiplied by b on the right side of the equation. By multiplying b with every element which is inside of the brackets, we get that b squared minus 15 is equal to 14b, which is finally going to give us an equation b squared minus 14b minus 15 is equal to 0. Let's now solve this quadratic equation for b. Every quadratic equation can be solved by using the quadratic formula. I have already made a video about the quadratic formula and the history of its development, and if you want to see that video, it is linked down here in the description. In this case, I am not going to use the quadratic formula because I have numbers negative 14 and negative 15. So I have an idea how to factor this and solve this equation in a faster manner. I am going to write this equation in the form first bracket multiplied by the second bracket is equal to 0. As we have b squared in the first term of an equation, we know that b is going to be a first part of both of these brackets. b is in these first places because when we multiply these two brackets, we get b multiplied by b, which gives us b squared. Now we have to find these two numbers that sit alongside b in these two brackets. Let's call these two numbers x and y so that we get b plus x in the first bracket and b plus y in the second bracket. Then by multiplying these two numbers, x multiplied by y, we get negative 15. And if we add these two numbers, we get that x plus y is equal to negative 14. Where did I get these two equations from? I have to explain in more detail what is happening behind the scenes. As you can see, we have our equation b plus x multiplied by b plus y in the second bracket is equal to 0. And we are now going to multiply these two brackets, so we get the following: b squared plus yb plus xb plus xy is equal to 0. B squared plus b is common, so we have x plus y that multiplies b, and plus xy, which is equal to 0. Now, to remember the quadratic equation which we are trying to solve, b squared minus 14b minus 15 is equal to 0. As you can see, the part x plus y corresponds to negative 14, and the part x multiplied by y corresponds to negative 15. And that is where we get the equations x plus y is equal to negative 14, and x multiplied by y is equal to negative 15. If you want to see more in-depth video about this method for solving the quadratic equation, you can watch that video here on my channel, and it is linked down in the description. It's called Amazing New Old Method to Solve Quadratic Equations, Viete and Babylonian Wisdom. Let's now go back to solving our problem. As you remember, we have to find x and y, and we are going to find them as solutions of this 2 by 2 system of equations. As you can see, when we multiply x and y, we get negative 15, which means that exactly one of these two numbers has to be negative and the other one has to be positive. Otherwise, it is impossible to get the negative result here. For example, this would work to take 1 multiplied by negative 15. As you can see, the result here is negative 15. However, that is not the only possible pair of numbers that would work. For example, if we would switch the signs and say negative 1 multiplied by 15, we would again get the result to be negative 15. Alongside these two possibilities, there are more possibilities. But the good thing is that we don't have to go through all of them. If we check the equation x plus y is equal to negative 14, i.e. if we add the two numbers, do we get the result of negative 14? Let's do that. So if we add 1 plus the negative 15, we get 1 minus 15, which is equal to negative 14. So we do get a result of negative 14. This means that this first combination works. We don't need to check any more of them. At this point, we can make a claim that our numbers have been found, and those numbers are 1 and negative 15. For x, we are going to take the positive number, so x is equal to 1. And for y, we are going to get the second number, so y is equal to negative 15. Let's return this into our equation. Now we get the equation that b plus 1 multiplied by b minus 15 is equal to 0. Solving this equation is quite easy, especially because we have the product. As the product is equal to 0, this is only possible if either the first part is equal to 0 or this second part is equal to 0. So b plus 1 is equal to 0 or b minus 15 is equal to 0. As you can see now, we have split this one equation into two equations, and when we solve two equations, we get that b is equal to negative 1 or b is equal to 15. So this is our first value for b. b1 is equal to -1 and b2 is equal to 15 for the second value for b. Since we have found two numbers for b, we have to check them both. We are going to take these two numbers for b. b1 is equal -1 and b2 is equal to 15, and we are going to take these values back into our system of equations, and we are going to try to find, in the first case, b1 is equal to -1, the values for a, c, and d. So we get in the first case that a1 is equal to 15 over b1, which is equal to 15 over -1, which is -15. So a1 has to be -15. c1, we have found that it is equal to 3 minus 15 over b1, which is 3 minus 15 over -1, and that is equal to 3 plus 15, which is equal to 18. So c1 has to be equal to 18. d1, we have found that it is equal to -2 minus 15 over b, which is equal to -2 minus 15 over -1, which is equal to -2 plus 15, and that is equal to 13. So d1 has to be equal to 13. Here we have found our first combination, and that is a1 is equal to -15, b1 is equal to -1, c1 is 18, and d1 is equal to 13. Let's now find our second combination, and we get that second combination for b2 is equal to 15. a2 is equal to 15 over b2, as we have found in our system, and that is 15 over 15, which is equal to 1. So a2 has to be 1. c2, we have found that it is equal to 3 minus 15 over b2, which is equal to 3 minus 15 over 15, which is 3 minus 1, and that is 2. So c2 has to be equal to 2. d2, we have found in our system that it is equal to -2 minus 15 over b2, and that is equal to -2 minus 15 over 15, which is -2 minus 1, and that is -3. So d2 is equal to -3. Here we have found our second and last combination, and that is a2 is equal to 1, b2 is equal to 15, c2 is equal to 2, and d2 is equal to -3. Finally, you can see that we have found two valid combinations, and you can now plug in the numbers into these yellow boxes and make a final check if everything is all right. So in the first case, we had that a1 was equal to -15, b1 was -1, c1 was 18, and d1 was 13. As you can see, -15 multiplied by -1 is 15, -15 plus 18 is 3, 18 minus 13 is 5, and -1 plus 13 is 12. So the first set of numbers which we have found is correct. Now let's observe the second set of numbers. We have that a2 is 1, b2 was 15, c2 was 2, and d2 was -3. 1 multiplied by 15 is 15, 1 plus 2 is 3, 2 minus -3 is 5, and 15 plus -3 is 12. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, as that helps me in my work a lot. If you have any questions, please write them down in the comment section, and I suggest that you watch this video next.